with Run Sign Up, it just made it a lot easier. And we noticed a huge jump from one year to the next with Run Sign Up and fundraising.
Welcome to Fundraising Events. During each episode, we'll chat with an influencer in the event industry who has been instrumental in helping nonprofits raise more funds. Our goal is to share helpful tips, tricks, and stories that empower you to raise more with your future fundraising events. Now, a little bit about our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by GiveSignup, Run Sign Up, your fundraising event technology experts. Next time you have a fundraising event, try GiveSignup, Run Sign Up. Whether it's a run, walk, ride, golf tournament, gala, or fundraising campaign, raise more, save time easily with the GiveSignup, Run Sign Up nonprofit focused platform. Get started for free today at givesignup.org. I'm Brian Jenkins, and I'm joined today by Marta Blanco. Welcome to Fundraising Events.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to be here.
Yeah, wonderful. So we always start with the easiest question, which is maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about Sofia's Hope.
Okie dokie. Like you said, my name is Marta Blanco. I was actually born and raised in New Orleans, although my parents are from Colombia, so you'll hear a lot of y'alls coming out of me. But I also speak Spanish fluently. Sofia's Hope is a nonprofit that I started. It'll be 10 years in January. I started it after my daughter, Sofia, who had been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's when she was 4. She had a year of treatment. She did relatively well. But about 8 years later, after her 13th birthday, she died of heart failure that was caused by the same chemo that gave her those extra years of life. And so I had always been volunteering and doing a lot of things at the hospital while she was alive, and always thought that the nonprofit would come when her and her sister got to high school. But when she died, I just decided to kind of formalize everything and start it. And so Sofia's Hope is just something that we have where we try to raise awareness of childhood cancer. We fund research specifically in the area of pediatric cardio-oncology, which is what happened to Sofia, to try to prevent that from happening to other kids. And then the third thing is offering programs for patients and families that are going through it now. Research is more long-term, but we have families going through it now. And so we offer a variety of programs, from scholarships to art therapy to tutoring, etc. Tons of different things. They're all free for the families, plus providing gift cards for financial support. The financial aspect is huge for families, and a lot of people don't realize that. So we don't pay bills, but we give them gift cards for transportation, gas, food, etc. So that in a nutshell is me and Sofia's Hope.
Can you tell us a little bit about where you're located?
Oh, yes, that's an important part. We're in Miami, Florida.
Is your reach specifically in the South Florida area? Because I know there's a lot of great research facilities down there, or do you guys go beyond that area?
No, as far as the research, we actually support a Dr. Stephen Lipschultz, who is actually the world's expert in pediatric cardiology. He's actually the one that made the link between kids having heart issues being childhood cancer survivors. And he's actually based out of Buffalo. So from a research perspective, it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then as far as the programs, because of COVID and we've gone virtual, we've actually had kids participate from all over the country, but primarily it is from South Florida all the way up to West Palm Beach. So we service all the children's hospitals from Miami all the way to West Palm Beach. So that's about 6 hospitals. From off the top of my head, I should know that, but it's about 6 hospitals.
Wonderful. So maybe let's talk about your fundraising event and just kind of give people a groundwork of the run that you've done, and just kind of lay the groundwork about that event. We
have an annual Reason to Run 5K. This will be our 14th year. It's actually a run that was started by 2 people, Linda and George Martinez, who are now our race directors. They started it in sort of honor of their nephew that was diagnosed with glioblastoma, and he lives in Cincinnati. And then they did it for a while, and it was getting harder and harder. So then they came to me and said, hey, how about if we, partner together? So 4 years ago, we turned it into the Sofia's Hope Reason to Run, and kind of took it from there. It's done really well. Initially, we were just sort of doing it with our own sort of registration, either manual, and it wasn't working, especially with the chip company. And so the chip company recommended that we use a Run Sign Up. And last year was the first year we did it, and it was wonderful because with COVID, we had to go all virtual, and it just made it so much easier to get people involved versus the way we were doing it before.
Yeah, and when you say chip company, I'm going to clarify on that. That's your this event is timed, so you
Oh, yes.
hire a timer, and
Yes.
your timer was kind of explaining some of the challenges of the data and some of the other things.
Yeah.
So just wanted to clarify that for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. It was me basically keeping track of everybody that was
Mhm.
registering and their birth dates and genders. And it just, I do everything. And so I didn't do a very good job at it. And so it was very hard for her the day of the event to try to keep all of it and fix all the errors. So she recommended that we do run sign up. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know, I've never heard that. But in the end, it was just very easy to set up and really does make things a lot easier. So that's when we started this will be our second year using Run Sign Up.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about your previous challenges when people were registering for the event and getting people to fundraise too.
Yeah, it was sort of both. The registering, I think when Linda and George were doing it, they used another vendor, I think it was called Active, and it was also very basic looking, and you couldn't do, so it didn't look very pretty. My background's in advertising, and so I'm very big about what it looks like in branding, so I didn't like that. And I think it was very hard for people to kind of follow through with it. And you didn't have a lot of options. You couldn't add a lot to it. So that's what's one part of it that I didn't like. And then the other part was just that we had always pushed fundraising, and we would get all these prizes, and we would have all these tiers of, if you raise this much and you create a team, and we had all this stuff, and it was on the website, and we got very little. We would get very, very little traction on getting people to actually create fundraisers. So with Run Sign Up, the fact that it is part of the registration process and you're asked, do you want to do it? It just made it a lot easier. And we noticed a huge, huge jump from one year to the next with Run Sign Up and fundraising.
Yeah. So, and that was kind of my next question, which is, so what you see differently about changing to Run Sign Up was that, and this isn't totally a Run Sign Up thing, but it's the importance of a separated fundraising process where you have to take an extra step versus having it integrated into the process. You saw a night and day difference in terms of participation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had, like I said, we had a way to do it, but it was a whole separate thing. You had to, when you did it, if you wanted to, after you registered, a little pop-up would come up. Oh, do you want to do it? And most people didn't even look at the pop-up. So they would never go to that and then, follow through with it and then setting up their own page. Whereas with the Run Sign Up, it's part of the registration process. Do you want to register? Do you want to join a team or create a team? Do you want to fundraise? Do you want to donate? So it makes it a lot easier and it's more intuitive. So we have a lot more people creating fundraisers. Besides the fact that we also motivate them without having to give away so much stuff that we were having to give away before, because now basically the only thing we offer is raise $100 and you'll get your registration fee automatically refunded. And that has a lot of levels of wonderful to it because it's automatic. I don't have to deal with going back and seeing who did it and who did, how do I refund? But it's all automatic and I don't have to worry about it. And then just the fact that people were actually raising money. I think in 2019, when we were doing it our old way, I think we raised $2,000. I think 1,000 of it was actually a survivor who was growing up and her family got all together and it was her. And then last year we raised over $11,000 and we didn't have to do as much work. And so that was a really big difference for us.
Yeah. And I want to clarify one of the points that you made there, which is, so what your event is doing is offering an incentive, but it's a very simple incentive. It's like raise $100. Is the entry fee roughly $25, $30? $30. So if you fundraise $100, you automatically get $30 back. And the technology that you're leveraging is in our system. You turn it on and say, hey, it automatically is going to do that, which for you I like to call it the chief everything officer. Um,
Yes. Yes.
it's great for you because you build the strategy and you build the marketing, but you're not executing the refunds. The system's
Yeah.
keeping track of that and then doing that. So you can message around it, but you don't have to worry, did it get done or not get done?
Oh, yeah, and it's just a couple clicks, you click here, set it up here, and you're done. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah,
One
and that
less
was
thing
something I
you have
wanted
keep track.
to talk about a little bit since you have seen both sides of this, which is you had a much more aggressive incentive program prior to this, and you didn't find it to be as effective. And I think we know why now, which was the segmentation of fundraisers, from one platform to the next. But like, let's talk about those incentives a little bit.
Oh, we had tickets to Disney. So like a 4-pack of tickets to Disney World. We had, I think the second level was a whole family pack and behind the scenes tour of the Miami Zoo. And then I think the third was, I think, oh God, what was the third? It's been a while. The third, I think, were just a gift card to like a restaurant. And that's for like the individual fundraisers. And then we had fundraisers for teams. And so for that was like I think a big pizza party at a local restaurant, a gift card. Maybe I think the top one was like a $250 Target gift card. And I think the second was just like a pizza party at a local restaurant. And so, that you either have to try to get that donated or we have to get it. And that just takes more time, more effort, and money that's taken away from the programs and the things we need to do because we're trying to get people to raise money. And it just, obviously, the $2,000 that we got did not make up for everything that we were offering. Though the majority was donated. Either way, it just was still a pain.
Yeah, it's really interesting for you because you're seeing more success with a much simpler, although probably, I mean, listening to it, your options you had were pretty good.
No, they were great, but you know what the problem was? Is I don't think people even saw it. I don't think
Yeah.
they clued in. They just, we put it in social media and we would put it in our emails, but a lot of people weren't necessarily going to the website, so they didn't see it there, and it was just a total flop all the way
Yeah.
around. Because yes, you're right. We kept thinking the same thing. Oh my God, tickets to Disney World. Hey, but yeah, it's not working.
So now that you kind of have this comparison, um, and I know that you're intimately kind of involved with the event and your fundraisers, what type of feedback are you getting from your fundraisers now?
Well, it's not so much that we're getting exact feedback from people, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we haven't heard either way, like, oh, I hate it or I love it, but it works. I mean, that's the bottom line. It works. And I've seen it. We just started for this year's event, which is at the end of October, and we started promoting it at the beginning of September. And I already have like 4 or 5 teams that are formed, and then all these like 6 or 7 fundraisers, and most of them are reaching their goal. And that's just now. People here in Miami tend to register for things much closer to the event. And this is all going on now. And that right there just says it all. I mean, it's easy. And I think that's the key, especially when people want to donate and they want to give, spoon feed them and make it as easy as heck. And then it works that way.
So to give people kind of like real numbers of, and I think the key point is if someone's putting on an event right now and you have what I would call a 2-step fundraising process, so they join the event somehow and then they have to fundraise separately, roughly how many dollars were you fundraising when it was 2-step versus it being kind of integrated into 1-step?
Well, like I mentioned before, I mean, one year it was $2,000, and then the following year when we did it with Run Sign Up, it was over 11,000.
Yeah,
so you're
that's
talking
amazing.
over 5, almost 6 times the amount of money with way less work and effort.
Yeah, that's
without a doubt. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And again, the other part that I know is not sort of tied as much to the fundraising, but it makes a difference, is forming teams. that part is also really, really helpful, because we do have a lot of families that have either lost their child or their child is in treatment, and they want to create a team in their honor and it's just so much easier to create the team and get people to join the team in the registration process. Whereas before, with the other way, it was very cumbersome. And so very few people did it.
Yeah. The last kind of, hopefully not a tough question I have for you, is recognition of fundraisers. Have you done that at the event, or what have you done with that?
Oh yeah, usually, I mean, when we had all our tiers and all that kind of good stuff, yes, at the event afterwards, at a certain point, we do a little ceremony where we give the top finisher medals. And then at that point as well, we acknowledge the top fundraisers, and that's when we give them their prize, is, whatever they won. And that's basically how it went, is that we have like an open, like a, what do we call it? It's this big field, and it's the festival area, and that's where we do it.
Cool. All right, so I like to call this last part the tear down, because nobody likes to tear down at an event.
I know.
It always gets people to laugh at work at events. So what is the best piece of advice you've received in regards to events?
I think the best advice is just, you have to be flexible. No matter how much you plan things, and believe me, I am like a control freak and I try to plan everything. You can never plan for unexpected things, and unexpected things will always come up. So focus on the participants and the experience you're trying to give them, and be flexible.
That's good advice. So next one, I've had some good answers. Funniest thing you've seen at an event?
Not sure that it was just funny, because we did the zoo run. They have a run every year, and they have cutouts as you start going out. And so it's really pictures, and how you put your head through it, those things that you see. It's cutouts, and it's like the butt of animals, like the big hippo and the big elephant. And then it says at the top, pooped by the time I spent at the zoo. So I just thought that's pretty funny.
That's pretty good. My daughter would like that.
Yes, very, very infantile humor, but hey.
All right, so what is your favorite event? That can be a concert, that can be a football game. I mean, I know some people are going to events, others aren't, but what do you circle on your calendar?
Me? Gosh, that one I'm not sure. Of course, I'm going to say my events, the Week of Hope and the Recent to Run and our wine and cheese, because one's a family event and the other's like for a date night. But I guess if I really had to pick a fun event, I think going to a concert. I don't do it very much, and I should do more of it. But I think going to a concert. I love music, and live music's the best kind of music to listen to.
Any favorite artists? Actually,
the next concert I'm going to, which will be in March, because it takes so long now to be able to go anywhere, is The Weeknd. I like him a lot.
Okay.
And the last concert I went to was, oh my God, I can see his face and now I can't remember. Post Malone.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it was great. And Ed Sheeran I like too. Very different, but I like them a lot too.
Yeah. Well, this is great. If someone wanted to reach out to you to bounce some ideas off of you, how could they reach out to you, and how can they find out more about Sofia's Hope?
Well, you can always go to our website, which is sofiashope.org, and it's Sofia with an F. That's the Spanish side, so not PH, you'll never find us. You can email me at info@sofiashope.org. You can always call me at 305-798-6725.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us. And I really, when you were talking to me, I thought it was important to remind people of the basics, which is hey, making it easy for people to fundraise while they're registering for the event, and improving the importance of that is a great lesson, because I think sometimes we get caught up in maybe less important details, and we go back to the basics, right?
Yeah, and we tend to overcomplicate. We need to just remember, just the easiest, the quickest, and it does not have to be complicated. That's the bottom line.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity to get people to know more about Sofia's Hope.